In a world of podcasts, five guys dare to discuss the peculiar, the terrifying, the unknown, and probably a lot of sports and beer. Stay tuned. It's about to get crazy. The Drink Beer and Bullshit Podcast.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Drink Beer and Bullshit Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Swish, and this is the YouTube edition of the podcast. I decided to do two different things, to have two different type of content, one for the podcast and one specifically for the YouTube channel. So welcome to the YouTube channel, where some of our content is going to be different than the stuff that's on the podcast. I wanted to keep those separate so we have more to offer, so you can go to the podcast platforms and download and listen and stream and subscribe there, and you have an opportunity to come to the YouTube channel to see different things. So I just want to keep them kind of separate. And I want to start on this YouTube channel with stories that I have experienced in my lifetime about the supernatural and ghosts and hauntings, I guess you could say, the experiences that I've had. And that's why I am interested in some of these topics. I think people that have experienced things like seeing stuff in the woods, seeing things at night, seeing things in the sky, we gravitate to want to know more about it and have discussions about it. So I want to share 3 stories of mine that I had at my younger age that deals with some of this stuff, mainly in the supernatural, ghost, haunting type of area, So I'm going to start with the first one. This was when I was younger, and I live in the state of Washington. And when I tell people I live in Washington, they get it confused with Washington, D.C. And the only way I put it to people is in sports terms, because we are sports guys. So where I live is, the state that I live in is the home of the Seattle Seahawks, the Seattle Mariners, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, Washington State Cougars, the Washington Huskies, Seattle Supersonics. Hopefully they come back to the NBA, But that's where I'm from. That's where I was born. And my parents are originally from Texas. And they came up to Washington a long time ago. Very long time ago, and I was born up here in the state of Washington, and they're originally from Texas. So what I'm trying to get at is that we, as youngsters, would visit my family in Texas, in a little town called La Pryor, Texas. I believe it's an hour or so south of San Antonio, and we would go there in the summers as little kids, like when school ended. The school year would go from like September to like the end of May, the beginning of June is when we would finish school. So once we finished that, we would go for about a month and a half sometimes, down to La Pryor, Texas. And one of these times, we usually visit my grandparents at their house. That's where we stay for the whole month. And they were gracious enough to let us stay in their house. They had room, so we stayed there. And one time I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, And it was one of those classic nights where the wind was blowing outside. It was like a breeze, but you could see the trees through the window, and they were like casting a shadow into the house. That's the type of vibe it was, and you could see it through the window, the shadows of the trees just moving in the breeze. And I was on the couch, and I was trying to go to sleep. It was probably midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, I was like 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. Maybe it was around 15 or 16, I don't remember. But it was that young. And I was sleeping on the couch. I had a blanket, and I was laying on my back on the couch, so I was facing up to the ceiling. And out of the corner of my eyes, I could see the trees, moving in the window, the shadows. And I was trying to go to sleep. And I would close my eyes and open them, and I couldn't fall asleep. So, when you can't fall asleep, you do that. You try to go to sleep, you close your eyes, and then you open them again. And that's what I was doing. And one time I opened my eyes, and there was a face up towards the ceiling that I saw. It was a white face. No features, but I could tell it was a face. It had eyes, a mouth. I don't think it had a nose. And like the eyes, it didn't have like eyeballs. It was just like dark in that area. It was black, and in the mouth was black. But it was a face. And when I opened my eyes for like 5 seconds, it scared me because I saw it up towards the ceiling. It was about 4 feet up in the air, looking down on me. And it scared the shit out of me. And as soon as, those 5 seconds went by, I closed my eyes because I got scared and I didn't want to keep looking at it. And I tell myself, well, what the hell did I just see? And it scared the hell out of me. I don't think I told anybody for a little while about that. And I tried to debunk it myself, as they say in the paranormal field, to try to debunk it. If you don't know what that means, it means to try to figure out a logical reason for that happening. And I've thought to myself, sometimes when you close your eyes and you get those little lights when it's dark, and then you see the little lights going in the dark, and then when you open them, you can still kind of see them. When you're seeing everything else, you could kind of still see the little lights, and then they fade away. And I tried to tell myself that that was a possibility, but it was just too clear for it to be that I saw a white face, a little transparent. You can kind of see through it. Kind of like misty. It wasn't like solid. And that was one instance that I saw something, and it scared the shit out of me. And that was one experience that I had. So that happened. And then a couple of years later, at home, was the second time something happened. And I probably had to have been 19, 20, a couple years later. And I was back at home in Washington. I lived with my parents still. I lived on a farmhouse. My father works on a farm, agricultural farm. And they provide a house there for you to live in on the job that he worked. So we were living there on the farm. And It was a night where, like I said, I was like 19 years old. So at that age, I was still young. I still had a lot of freedom. It's not like I was working, had a full-time job or anything. So it was one of these instances where I would just stay up till like 4 a.m, just watching TV, playing video games, doing whatever. And I remember coming from my room. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I remember it was 2 o'clock in the morning. And I was watching TV in my room. And I went into the kitchen to grab something to eat. Specifically, I remember I was gonna make a sandwich. Like easy 19-year-old kid stuff. Like chips and a sandwich. I grabbed the bread. I started fixing a damn sandwich. 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's asleep. I had 2 brothers in the house. My mom and my dad. They were in their room. They were asleep. My brothers were in their room asleep. I was the only one up. I knew I was the only one up because this was like a nightly thing that I would do. I would stay up that late with no one else up in the house. So I'm fixing this sandwich, and off to the other side of the kitchen is another room, the laundry room. And that room has a door to go outside. So from that room, I heard my name called Hector. I heard a voice say Hector. And without any thought, I replied. I was like, what? Like I was fixing a sandwich and I heard my name and I said, what? And then I realized, so I'm the only motherfucker awake in the house. Who the hell's saying my name? Who the hell's talking to me? And I looked back and it was just the kitchen light on, nobody else around. And that scared the hell out of me too, because I heard my name being called to me like clearly for me to respond back with a what? Like someone's trying to get my attention. So I put the damn sandwich together on the plate and booked it into the room. And that scared the hell out of me too, because I was like, what the hell is calling my name at 2 o'clock in the morning when everyone's asleep? I didn't get it. And then that took me back to when I saw the face in Texas. And I was like, shit, man. It started fucking scaring the shit out of me. I was like, what the hell? So I couldn't explain that. Those are two instances that I could not explain. And it just went, nothing ever happened again in that house. I never heard anything again. I think I visited Texas after that time. I had my experience in Texas again. And I never had any other occurrence there or at my mom's house, the farmhouse. So those were 2 times that something happened to me and I couldn't explain it. And I asked, naturally, I told my parents and my brothers this, I believe the next morning. I told them I heard somebody say my name and they're all like, no, well, we were all asleep. So I was confused and I was like, what the hell? It scared me. That scared me too. I'm not the type of person to hear shit, like just to hear things like voices, disembodied voices. I believe that's what they call it, because it doesn't happen often. I don't hear stuff often. It just happened that instance. And then I saw what I saw in Texas. And then the third time something happened was in the house that I live in now. That I was renting a house in the town that I live in. And then I decided to jump to buy a house, So I went through the process of doing that and I got the house. and we moved in. And it's a 2-story house. It's a more modern type of house. It's not an old house. It's not like there's no way I don't believe it has like a history of things like older houses do. So, and I've never had anything in this house happen until that third experience, which was like maybe 3 years ago. I came home from work, and what I do when I get home from work, I park the car. I know a lot of people do this, that what I'm saying, they do this, but I'm just going through the steps of what happened. So like I parked in the driveway, and I come in through where I work now is that same farm with my father, the agricultural farm. And we do a lot of stuff on that farm. We get dirty, we get sweaty. We're out there for 11, 12, 13 hours. That's the kind of job it is. It's not an easy job. So when I come home, I park in the driveway and I come in through the garage. And the garage goes into the laundry room, where I take off my clothes, of my work clothes. It's like a mud room. I use it as a mud room. All my dirty clothes in there and whatnot, I leave it in there. My boots. So I get undressed from the dirty clothes. I go into the house, and I'll go upstairs. The master bedroom is upstairs. So I'll go up there and hop in the shower, take a shower. I'm done for the day. It's time. It's over, Take a shower, eat dinner, relax the rest of the night. So I go upstairs into the room. The master bedroom has its own, like a lot of houses do these days. The newer houses has its own master bathroom with the shower in there. What you would expect. This room is only for me and my fiance. We're the only ones ever in that room. No one else goes in that room. Nobody needs to go in that room. It's just me and her. So I go in the room and I go in the bathroom and get ready to do what I need to do to get clean and whatnot. And on the toilet, the commode, as they call it, I call it the toilet. All the lid, everything's down on it, with the lid down where you can like sit on it and be okay. And in the middle of the lid is a toilet paper roll, the little like cardboard roll that goes inside the toilet paper. When you're done, you have to take you take the little roll and you throw it away. Annoying as hell, the little roll. But this little roll is sitting in the middle of the toilet seat, and it's standing vertical, not horizontal where it could roll off, like where you could roll it. But it's standing vertical, like right in the middle. And I was confused because I was like, why the fuck is this just in the middle of the toilet lid down, like standing up and down? And I try to see if it like fell from somewhere and just like landed there perfectly. And I couldn't explain it. And I called my fiance and I was like, hey, did you leave the little toilet paper roll on the toilet seat for a reason? And she said that she didn't know what I was talking about. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I was confused. I was like, well, what do you mean? She's like, I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. I didn't leave anything. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool. Well, there's like the little toilet paper roll thing just sitting there on the toilet seat. Like the lid is like everything's down, but it's like standing there right in the middle, like perfectly placed. Like, she was like, nope, nothing. I was like, shit, man. Here we go again. Here we go again. And we never found an explanation for that. And nothing has happened since. The next day after that had happened, the toilet paper thing, the little roll, I came home, exact same thing. I went into the bathroom and I pulled open the shower curtain, and a bottle of shampoo and conditioner were in the middle of the tub. Right? I was like, holy shit. I called my fiance again. I was like, you will not believe this. That time she said, yeah, that was me. I left him there. My heart sank to my stomach. I was like, holy shit, it happened again. But she said that was her. So that gave me a little bit of relief. I was like, oh, fuck. You know, I was like, shit's about to hit the fan now. Poltergeists and shit. But that was explained. She explained that. The roll on the toilet seat, on the cover, the lid, unexplainable. 3 instances of unexplained things that I have no answers for and that I've experienced. And that has me interested in the paranormal, the supernatural, hauntings, ghosts. I watch a lot of stuff on TV. I read a lot of stories. I know stuff on TV is exaggerated a lot, made for ratings. It's still entertaining, but I still dive into this shit to try to find answers of why I experienced this and to see if anybody else experiences this. So I also have my brother and I coming home from work one day swear we saw a UFO, and that's another story for another day. I'm not saying it was, but shit was convincing. So those are my 3 instances of times that something unexplained happened to me and I can't explain it, and that's why I'm interested. And on the podcast, we're going to get into personal stories because I know the guys have their own stories of things that they've experienced. And we're going to talk about those. And we're also going to talk about other things that go on in the world. Stories. So that's one thing to look forward to the podcast. We're also going to talk about the stories. We live in the Pacific Northwest. The Cascade Mountains. You know, the volcanoes that are in the state, the woods, the forests. Is Bigfoot out there? I think so. But that's a topic for discussion. I love the discussion of a story that I heard when I was younger was the Jersey Devil in the Pine Barrens. That's always interested me. So that's a lot of things that we're going to get into in the podcast. And then we're going to drink some beer and bullshit about other stuff like music, movies, and other things. Sports. Cowboys fan. Where am I at? Right here. Cowboys fan. 3 of us on the podcast are Dallas Cowboys fans. We're from Washington, yes, but we're Dallas Cowboys fans. My parents are from Texas. We were raised Dallas Cowboys fans. Medi, Rigo, Seahawks fans. Rigo's in Texas. Seahawks fan. We're going to go back and forth because we don't like the Seahawks. They talk a lot of shit. Their fans do. So that's stuff that we're going to get into on the podcast as well. Up here in Washington, we're about an hour and a half from Spokane. home of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. The NCAA tournament's about to start. Number 1 in the country. That's our team. And we're going to see how that goes. So stay tuned, guys, because more stories are coming. I got plenty of other stories to tell here on YouTube aside from the podcast. I'm going to tell you guys my story of getting my DUI. When I got a DUI when I was younger, that shit happened too. Stupid. I'm stupid. Like, we don't do that shit no more. No drinking and driving. We drink responsibly, but that's a story. I've been shot at that farmhouse that I told you about. I was walking one time on a trail and some people pulled over to the side of the road and shot at me and my girlfriend. So I was shot at and and the bullets were hitting close and nothing, that's a story to tell. We got shot at a drive-by. There was a drive-by at the house that we were staying at for the night after a party. The house that we were staying at, it's my homeboy's house. Names will be changed, but the story is real. There was a drive-by, bullets went in the house, everything. That's another story to tell. I got plenty of stories, guys. Then we're going to get all into them, either on the podcast or on the YouTube channel. So, man, stay tuned. And thank you guys for listening if you made it this far. Shit, I didn't think it was going to be 30 minutes. But we're getting there on 30 minutes, so I'm going to leave it at that. And I'll catch you next time. April 1st is the official launch of the first episode. I'm hoping to get about 3 or 4 episodes up there to have on the launch. So stay tuned, guys, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, or whatever, leave them down below in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to bring you guys good shit, and we're going to drink a lot of beer. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching.